So, one thing that I wish more people would do, and I think this is sort of a good social convention, is, and I try to do this, but sometimes I'm very bad at it. If you're doing very well in a game, especially when it's head-to-head and it's a two-player game and you're really trashing them, I think it's good, it's just being sporting, to engage in sort of collective fiction. It's like, well, you played well, but those dice, man, they just took it from you. Whether or not that's true, it's a sort of, there are lots of things we do in terms of average everyday social conversation that are either collective fictions or sometimes just omissions of the full truth. I certainly feel that all of my friends do that with respect to my beard, for example. They don't point out how hideous it is, and I'm very grateful for that. But if I'm trashing somebody in a game, I try to focus on those times when I rolled really well and say, like, well, it's not like I outplayed you. It's just, these things happen. Or when I'm losing a two-player competitive game like that, I certainly appreciate it when my opponent is like, sometimes this happens. It didn't go your way. Remember that time when I rolled that 20 at that right moment? And I'm certainly happier when that happens. And I'm certainly happier when I see other people do it, willing to spare people's feelings on account of the game. I think it's that extra little lubricant, if you will, not to be too gross about it, that really helps in situations like that. Because I hate it when people get frustrated.
It's true. Well, that's my bread and butter, though, is watching how people react to different situations. So I really enjoy watching how people either squirm or get angry, or to a certain degree, right? Unless they're like going over the top and making the experience bad for the other players by complaining too much about how the game is punishing them. Yeah,
because you'd think it would go the other way around. You'd think that people would beat themselves up for being stupid, right? Remembering that time that 3 turns ago they did the stupid thing. It's like, why am I such an idiot? People don't tend to do that as much in my experience. I've seen some people do it. But usually it's, why did this die? Why didn't I get the right card? Why didn't I get the right tile? Why didn't I get the right die?
Instead of saying, why didn't I prepare for this? Why didn't I seed my bag? Or why didn't I put these into my discard pile so I would get, more of that particular card, and thereby, not falling into the mistake. It's more like, it's my deck's fault, or I didn't draw right. Or
and it's bizarre then that people get so frustrated about something that's completely beyond their control, rather than getting frustrated about what an idiot they are. I'm the same way. I look back at stupid plays I make, even when I can demonstrably identify, that was a dumb play, and sure, I can say, I'll try to do better next time. But on the other hand, if it's a string of bad results or a string of 2 good results from somebody, especially if they're being jerks about it, if somebody gets a string of good results and then talks about how brilliant they are, that really ticks me off. But anyway, that's on me.
Well, that's what I have to keep reminding people too. When you play these co-op games, randomness is the game's only weapon. It's the only way they can throw anything at you, right? So you're going to get that, heavy swing once in a while because, there's no one playing that game. So you're going to be drawing off a random deck, or you're going to be drawing random dice. Because it's for now, until someone comes up with a insane game mechanic. Right now, randomness is co-op's only weapon.
Yeah, pretty much. There's some exceptions. This year's brilliant Spirit Island is pretty non-random. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's, if you make it a solvable puzzle, there's not going to be much replay value to it, and so there's usually some deck of cards or something that drives the engine. I certainly know that one of the best ways to avoid frustration is just to be sporting about it, to remember the times that the dice have been nice to you rather than the dice have been mean to you, and talk about that. It's like, I certainly didn't deserve that success, but I'll take it. I find that very, very helpful in social situations. I get so on edge when I see people losing their shit over die results. I just don't know what to do. It's terrible.
Well, maybe not so bad once, but if the poor person gets it over and over again, then I can see where it can get a little annoying.
Yeah, no. Look, I'm sympathetic. As I say, right. I've thrown my fair of fits over what I take to be unreasonable results all the time. But I was
about to say, how many times I've seen it twice, people throwing dice.
Throwing dice
across the room.
I don't think I've seen that. I've seen people like very, I've seen games put away very violently, but I don't know that I've seen people hurling dice across.
Or how about people putting dice aside? Like, I'm not going to roll that one again. I'm now going to roll these ones now. These ones are better dice.
Again, just the things we do to give ourselves the illusion of control.
Exactly, it's fantastic.
I'm going to roll with this hand or that hand, or I've never seen it as bad in board or war or miniatures games as it was during role-playing games. Role players, I don't know if this is still true, but when I was role-playing a lot, like 15, 20 years ago, the nonsense that we would tell ourselves about what die to use in what context and all that. Oh, jeez, I don't.
Lucky D20.
Yeah, no, and I never engaged in that stuff then either. I was like the 13, 14-year-old playing sometimes with grown adults who were like, oh, this is my special die, and I'm like, you realize it's just a standard distribution, right? Well, not necessarily in those terms. But that having been said, it is worth noting, there are a lot of crappy dice that don't roll standard distributions. I remember once I got a set of dice from China. I needed like 5 D20s, all the same color and size, and so I got some on eBay for a very small amount. And I noticed that I did actually sit down and did about 100 throws or something and just put them into a spreadsheet. Yes, this is how cool I am, ladies and gentlemen. They were not a standard distribution. They were literally concave, and they were squashed, and so the results were just bizarre. So I had to trash those guys because they were crap. But short of that, I'm amazed at the kind of selective memory that we have. I mean, look, not to get too philosophical about it or psychological, but the human mind is designed to recognize patterns. And when there is no pattern, we make one up, which is why we're so bad at perceiving randomness. You show a person a random distribution, if it's too small enough, they're going to invent a pattern or think that it's not random. It's like, oh, I rolled the same result 3 times in a row. This can't be random. No. Random distributions do that all the time. But that's another bugbear.
Well, I'm pretty well done with randomness. Let's randomly end this segment.
Fair enough, Walker. So, this has been your episode of So Very Wrong About Games. You can reach Walker at justrolledadice@gmail.com. That's JUSTROLLDADICE at gmail.com. Walker hates TH. So, please, in all correspondence with him, don't use words like the or that. It's duh or dat exclusively. He will appreciate that. You can reach me, Mark Bigney, on Twitter, at allthegamesyoulike. And we'd love to hear from you if you have requests for games you'd like us to talk about or topics you'd like us to cover. General complaints or grievances can instead be sent to Air Canada at aircanada.ca. And we look forward to talking with you again. Any final words to send us out there, Walker?
Not at all.
You've been listening to So Very Wrong About Games, produced by Michael Walker and edited by Mark Bigney. Special thanks goes to What Does It Eat for generously allowing us to use their most excellent song, FOS, as our theme. You can find them at whatdoesiteat.com. You can reach us by email at soverywrongaboutgames@gmail.com or on Twitter at SoWrongGames. Thanks very much, see you next time, and always, try to be right, but remember you are so very wrong.